in music education, if we say no Beethoven, there's no music education at all.
Okay. Wow. Welcome back to Be Contemporary, the podcast of Beethoven Fest Bonn. My name is Stephen Walter. I'm Artistic Director of Beethoven Fest. And I'm very honored to have a very distinguished guest today, Tan Dun. Welcome.
Hi, Steve.
Thank you so much. You are, just for our listeners, you don't need much introduction, of course. You're one of the most famous living composers. But just a brief overview. You were born 1957 in the Hunan province in China and has lived for a long time in New York and now shares time between China and New York City. Very distinguished composers. Composers studied also with famous names as Heinz Werner Henze and George Crumb, where he developed his very own sound world and profile, I would say. Very unique composer, and I'm very happy to have you here because we will have a big common concert, which we will talk about. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
What's your relationship with Beethoven? We are here at Beethoven Fest, and as I understand, it's very personal for you, Beethoven.
When I first heard Beethoven, that was in China's Cultural Revolution. So that time, to me, Beethoven was the big poison of a capitalist. Criticized. Everybody was criticized. Everybody thought Beethoven's music is poison.
Yes.
And I was told, don't touch Beethoven. If it's a fatal touching. If you touch it.
Forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then till now, we come to Bonn, the hometown of Beethoven. I feel this sort of an immersive half century is fading. It's very strange. Now to me, Bonn is like a Jerusalem of Beethoven.
Yeah.
To me, it's Beethoven Jerusalem. So it's very interesting to be here recalling all my Beethoven story.
Yeah. You grew up in Hunan, of course, also in a time that was, I just can imagine, very rough. You worked as a rice farmer for some time, or had to work as a rice farmer?
Yeah, that time, actually, I was a rice planter.
Yeah.
I remember during the Cultural Revolution, I was planting the rice.
Yes.
Suddenly, this big speakers, louder speakers, had this bum 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 bum. Then afterwards, bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
And I said, what's happening? What kind of music is this? I never heard. Because at that time I was a music shaman in Hunan. Every day I'm dealing with marriage music, funeral music, and ancient tradition rituals. And suddenly I heard bam, 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 bam. I said, oh, come on. I like this kind of music.
Yeah.
So I searched bam, 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 bam for 50 years.
Okay.
Now I'm in
Here
Bonn.
we are. Yeah. Great. So you have these both lines. This deep and also very rooted love for classical Chinese tradition, and as you just said, this new or this kind of acquired love for Beethoven and classical music. And is it true to say that you bring the two together in your own music also?
Yeah, I think what I really loved Beethoven, as Beethoven is sort of a beyond age. For example, this time I, of course, composed a piece called The Nine, celebrate Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Then during the composing, of course, I start to research deeply about what is the Beethoven Nine. Then I find this piece is a super rock and roll piece. For example, when I was conducting the second movement, the 10 minutes. Even now, not many composers dare to do it.
Yes, yeah.
But 200 years ago, Beethoven. I don't know how could he did that.
Yeah.
It must be his hand was grabbed by the god.
Yeah.
So to me, Beethoven is the most beyond time, super rock and roll guy.
Yeah, kind of proto rock.
Absolutely.
And punk in a way.
Yeah. So to me, my compass for the music is always for the future. Then I found that somehow Beethoven's spirit become part of mine. I love Beethoven is not because of just the Beethoven music, but it's because of Beethoven's value, Beethoven's vision, Beethoven's rhythm, Beethoven's future nomination, Beethoven's forever life. Then I find that Beethoven is something very, very interesting to young people all over the world.
Yes.
No matter where you came from, as long as you are young, you automatically associate it with Beethoven because that's Beethoven.
Yeah.
So my music always have some spirit of Beethoven.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Today I come to Jerusalem of Beethoven. Bam.
Yeah, and we are very privileged to have a performance of this fantastic project that was long in the making. I believe it was actually for 2020 anniversary Beethoven, and now finally due to the pandemic, it's happening. It's a project with the National Youth Orchestra. How was it for you? Because you also conduct your work and also Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Yeah. How was it to work with these young players?
Oh, they are fantastic. Last week, we rehearsed day to day. I always ask them, please communicate eye to eye. I want everybody play eye to eye, heart to heart. And with all those singers from 45 countries,
Yes.
you know.
World Youth Choir.
What is, oh my God.
Amazing, yeah.
I have to say, this time you will hear them play Beethoven 9s and also my 9 to 9.
Yeah.
You will find something miracle.
Yes.
And if you want to be better than the kids, than those people, it's possible, but it's going to be difficult because they are really, really good this time.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night you will see.
Yes. I had the honor to experience it in Berlin already, and and I remember my youth orchestra times. It's quite amazing this coming together of young people and being in the social setting, and it's so important. Also, I think the international aspect to it with the World Youth Choir. I think it's singers from 45 different countries and all continents. That's quite a beautiful message. Also, of course, for the Ninth Symphony. Yeah.
Well, I was actually composed the 9 for them because I had the 3 movements. One is about 9, which is forever digital. Biggest digital in all digital from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9.
Yeah.
And the second is 9 in Chinese is wine also.
Ah.
And also 9 in Chinese means everlasting. So 3 movements. And when I meet all those people, he said, what is this? The first bar of music. I said, the first bar of music is 9. But this is a very interesting sound because I take this sound from my hometown of those ritual music about time. So they ask me to demonstrate. It's like a kong chika chika kong chika kong kong chika kong kong, and they said all those syllables, colors in Hunan, in my hometown. Is that representing the meaning of 9? I said yes. Actually, we never use the words to express the meaning, but we only use the sound. So I think very special to play with this young world choir and the German National Youth Orchestra is those young gangsters of sound.
Exactly.
They are very good.
Yeah,
When you communicate with them, you don't need to actually explain too much about what's kind of intellectual contents or whatever. You just show up with your sound gestures and talking about, hey, this is Beethoven.
Yeah, very receptive.
Very quick.
Yeah.
They are so quick. They are absolutely first class, I have to say.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to have them because it's also an institution based in Bonn, and Bonn is of course the place also of the young Beethoven, the first 21 years. And I loved what you just said, the kind of young gangsters of sound, like shakers and movers. That's kind of the Bonn we try to represent, the Beethoven we try to represent, because it's a young shaker and mover, kind of Sturm und Drang composer. So this is an amazing juxtaposition. Of course, these two big works, new big commission of you and Beethoven Ninth Symphony. Of course, the Ode to Joy is also, I believe, a drink song actually in original, which of course fits beautifully to the wine aspect of your work. What are other references you took to Ninth Symphony in particular? I think there's some quotes also.
Yeah. Actually, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony to me is like a Bible. It's the Bible of sound. Look about the score. When I start to compose my nine, I was thinking about what kind of sound river flow from 200 years ago up to mine sound world. Then I find each movement of Beethoven had a lot of sounds actually never sounding long time ago, but always sounding forever. The nature, the mind, the metaverse, the universe. Then actually some of sound very, very interesting to me. To me, for example, very quiet beginning of the Beethoven 9. Ba-bum, ba-bum.
Like Birth of the Universe, kind of.
Birth of the Universe. Yeah. But I quote that with storms.
Yeah.
So in the very, very beginning, I use 6 storms. Pa-pa, pa-pa, pa-pa. And everybody immediately knowing this is Beethoven. But why you know this is Beethoven? Because it's not a bum-bum, bum-bum, bum-bum. It's a pa-pa, pa-pa, pa-pa.
Yeah.
It's storms. Yeah. But what I admire the young people is because the German young people, they were born with an immersive mind already. I know there's young singers from 45 countries.
Yeah.
They are boundaryless. They have no boundaries. You can talk to them for anything. For example, that when we start the second movement, I ask them to be a little extra quicker, faster, and extra more accent, and they told me why. I said 2 things. Number 1, I want you to burn. I want a burning spirit. And secondly, I want a Beethoven rock and roll spirit. To me, Beethoven is a great rocker.
Yeah,
it's really forever metaverse rock and roll music driver. Because it's not just for one generation, it's for 100 generations.
Yeah.
And even for me, far east, somewhere in Hunan, you were asking me, where is Hunan? Then I said that Hunan is a very intellectual, cultural place since 2,400 years ago in China, but also very, very revolutionary, very, very avant-garde place.
Mao came from there.
Yeah. You know 2 people from Hunan.
You and Mao.
Mao is one,
Yes.
And another one is me.
Yeah.
So, but actually, when I start with the 9, commemorate Beethoven, I start with a poet, Qu Yuan. Actually, he was from Hunan 2,400 years ago. So all those poetry he trying to produce is to commemorate how human being ritualistically where we came from and how far we can go. And I also felt that in Beethoven's 9. So that's why when I start the first one, I come with his poetry. Kong chika chika kong chika kong 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 ka chik ta 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 ta.
Yeah.
So to me, rock and roll spirit of Beethoven comes with this 2,400 years ago poetic ritual to start my 9. That's the best to to commemorate Beethoven's 9 for 200
To
years.
set the stage, kind of.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. You mentioned earlier that Beethoven, when you were young, was kind of a forbidden content. How is it now in China? What kind of role does Beethoven's music in particular play in culture and in education?
I thought in music education, if we say no Beethoven, there's no music education at all.
Okay. Wow.
Beethoven is a big name in China. Music education-wise means maybe everything relating to spiritually to Beethoven, and also technically music study and everything. Beethoven can become a icon,
Yeah.
and also creatively, motivation, and all those poet, not just music, poet, businessman, educator, and even for those visual artists. You see, Beethoven becomes so important spiritually.
Yeah.
So I thought, for me, actually, to get into sort of a Beethoven 9, this time conducting dialogue with Beethoven, I find sometimes, I often talking to myself, this Beethoven 9 maybe is not written by Beethoven, it's written by the God, because everything is so profound. You cannot find anything not perfect, not perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm scared actually. It's just incredibly refined.
Yeah.
And then I find in China, there's a good reason every kind of people loved Beethoven. And I think I am just one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's of course incredible what kind of infrastructure has been built over the last, say, 20, 30 years with conservatories and concert halls and so many amazing structures. And I think the cultural link should stay as intact as possible. And what your project and your work in general, you're also a UNESCO ambassador, right? For this kind of idea of bringing people together through music and also sharing cultural heritages.
Yeah, my UNESCO dream is always trying to bring the heritage to meet with young people,
Yeah.
to bring the old spirit, meeting with the creation of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So actually, Beethoven, specifically its spirit, the renovation and motivation, and also creation. I think all those heritage, this kind of a mind, the spirit, it needs to be passed on and on. And specifically in the Beethoven I Otto Joy, the idea, I mean, everybody in this world is our brothers.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe, 2,400 years ago, when Lao Tzu was Chinese poet, philosopher, setting up the harmony of yin and yang,
Yeah.
coming together as the whole world forming love. And Beethoven had it in music. I mean, basically, 2,400 years ago, this Chinese ancient philosopher Lao Tzu talked about how the universe, through yin and yang resonance, the best balance. But somehow Beethoven's 9, the music, explained everything. And when I actually conducted rehearsal with the German Youth Orchestra, I felt when all the kids look at you like this, and 45 countries singers look at you singing Sunshine Sound, and all those coming together as the most consonant, beautiful sound. And I felt it's an honor that this time we had a chance to show off in Beethoven Fest,
Yeah.
and incredible.
It's it is beautiful also how if you go very deep in any given culture, like the yin and yang concept, is very universal. Like many things Beethoven also taps into, which is of course Western tradition, but it goes down to a very archetypical core of humanity, and that's something to be shared with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, Beethoven's. I think Beethoven's music is talking to East also, specifically talking to the Far East,
Yeah.
deep in the earth,
Yeah.
in the air. For example, about the balance. Beethoven's music is not just spiritually make you feel mind balance, inside balance, outside balance, but also architecture-wise, structure-wise. Beethoven's music gives a very powerful scientific support for your feelings.
Yeah.
And that's very, very German, actually,
Yeah.
in certain way, very positively melting
Yeah.
that kind of feeling with the Eastern yin and yang, Eastern feng shui, Eastern nature breathing, air, 5 elements.
Yeah.
Fire, water, air, earth.
Spirit.
Spirit, yeah. I find actually Beethoven's music somehow has a certain kind of a power, very powerful asset to the earth, to the light, to the water, and to the air. And when I was a child, I always be reading Chinese poetry, ancient philosophy. Then I find all of those ancient philosophy and Chinese poetry are very, very poetic, exotic, but far away. And I need to sense of it. I need to touch it. I need to see it. Sometimes I feel difficult. But when I met Beethoven, then I said, come on, Beethoven is Li Po. Oh my God, Beethoven is Lao Tzu. Beethoven is Confucius. Beethoven is... I find somehow in Beethoven's sound world, you can see, you can hear philosophy, you can see the sound.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. It's lucky, in my education, when the Beethoven come to my world. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1980, you moved to New York City, where you still spend a lot of time. Earlier, you said that the 80s and New York was a kind of a center for Chinese intellectual and artists who were fleeing China. How was it back in those years to be in New York, which is of course a very different place? And you met many iconic people like Andy Warhol and of course you're still, I believe, very much in touch with IYY and all those famous people.
Actually, after the Cultural Revolution, I have to say, after when the China door opened, and the floods of Chinese young students come to New York to study, and that time we had Chen Kaige, we had Xu Bing, we had many Chinese students come to Shanghai, to New York, and then New York become a very intellectual and a world cultural, multicultural base, and which gives all those sort of Chinese students a marvelous stage to create themselves. So even now, all those artists, you see, Cai Guoqiang, Xu Bing, and Ai Weiwei, many filmmakers and visual artists, composers, Chen Yi, Zhou Long, and everywhere, they are internationally speaking out, talking about arts tomorrow, human existence, and so to us, New York is always like a multicultural capital, I think.
Has New York and in particular maybe the New York minimalist scene influenced you? Also, I believe you met Steve Reich and Phil Glass and these people.
Yeah, of course, John Cage, Meredith Monk, Philip Glass, Andy Warhol, and all those New York intellectuals. I have to say, they are boundaryless.
Yeah.
And they, for example, like John Cage. I think John Cage is the first guy. I think German people love John Cage too.
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
much.
philosophically, I have to say John Cage is the only composer and the philosopher crossed over for many, many boundaries. And I think he's the first sort of guy introduced the I Ching, I Ching, musically, sound-wise, from east to the west,
Yeah.
and then become from west to east now. So actually, John Cage was my teacher, one of my teachers. And
Yeah.
when he was alive, we talked so many things about the future.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the minimum become how unlimited, colorful, and the nothingness could be everything.
Yeah.
The emptiness could be so colorful. So, and this become very important sort of a method. For example, this time when I compose the choral concertos, first of all, there's no choral concerto in the world. Since now we have a choral concerto now, but I have to tell, in the very, very beginning, why I chosen the choral concerto to write. First of all, every time to play Beethoven, everybody thought it's too expensive because the giant choir is only used the last movement. And so this time when I was talking to you, Beethoven Festival, talking to 2020, talking to London,
Yes.
the Royal Philharmonic Society, he said, why don't you make the Beethoven 9th performance, maybe the first half, also have a chorus. So I thought that could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Made the Beethoven 9 less expensive.
Yeah, exactly. A good double show.
So I had a choir in the first 25 minutes singing a lot of emptiness, using sound, colors, empty space, a natural environment to join the sound colors, sound structures of this choral concerto. So basically, choral concerto came from all kinds of sound structure, empty words. I take emptiness as an approach to the choral concerto.
Yeah.
To commemorate Beethoven. So come on, facing Beethoven 9, facing Otto Joy, facing the Beethoven's mind. How could you talk to him? Even how do you start with him? So then John Cage become very important. Lao Tzu become very important. I Ching. What's the German saying? I Ching or I Ching? I Ching. Very important because the emptiness become metaverse, become universe.
Yeah.
And that's how my early studies in New York, I have to say, is a very good way for me from New York, watching back myself as a Eastern music and a philosophical catch up.
Yeah, interesting bridge there. Last question, your work you're performing here at Beethoven Fest is one of the rare pieces that is not multimodal or multimedia or so, and or works with material very often. And of course, you are also a very famous Oscar-winning film composer as well. Very often you work with different mediums. What does that mean for you? Also with water and elements. What is this kind of central aspect of music making or interdisciplinary aspect mean for you?
Yeah. Actually, this time we're showing the 9 project, Beethoven 9, my 9, in Beethoven Fest. As I told you, it's recently first time I didn't use a visual and multimedia or immersive sort of a component. Yeah. Instead of a very emptiness.
Yeah.
But I have to say, sometimes you suddenly stopped a lot of immersive multimedia visual, and then you see more colors actually. And recently, I always worked with color, lighting, film, and visuals. But this time probably is the only time I didn't use much for a long time. I felt so fresh.
Yeah, sometimes the brain is the best augmented reality device.
Yes.
Our imagination.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I have to say, this driven by emptiness and to a unlimited world of sound, colors, I have to say, is something much even more actually seductive. And so this time come to Beethoven, my Jerusalem of Beethoven, I want to correct myself.
Amazing.
I have to say, it's a spiritual goal. Since the last 45 years, when I was heard the Beethoven in China's rice field and come to the hometown of Beethoven, took me 45 years to travel. But finally, I'm here and to show 9 to 9. What a great honor. What a great honor to open my sound Bible, my music Bible, Beethoven 9, and come to here to play for the people of Bonn. And I think I'm lucky. I'm luckiest one
the
musician.
descendants of Beethoven, yes. Well, thank you so much. It's a great honor to have you here. You are on the biggest stages in the world, and now here in Bonn, this is a fantastic opportunity for us. Thank you so much, and hope to have you back. I think there are many things, many interesting bridges in artistic, but also cultural. We should create between Bonn, also the United Nations city of Bonn, the UNESCO city of Bonn, and all your activities. And I sense that you have very many interesting and very worthwhile visions to come. So thank you so much, Tan Dun.
Thank you. Thank you. Beethoven Festival.
Thank you.